So this is the last of our triple pack of requests we had for one. This was for Brett Callahan, who this one we're going to probably drop on our YouTube channel relatively quickly, but because it was a by request, and he's a guy who the Tigers have continually drafted very well in the Northeast. He's drafted out of St. Joseph's, which I believe is in New York.
Let's take a look.
To the internet we go.
I think it's in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania. You're right. I was Atlantic 10. I think that's an A10 school, I believe. If I'm thinking about like my college basketball powerhouses, if you will. But either way, he is another left-handed bat for the Tigers who we saw last year in Lakeland a little bit with some pop, and he's got a good arm on him too. And he's kind of slowed down a little bit heading in the month of May. However, he had a really good month of April, and we got to see him live rather a couple weeks ago. And I wanted to show, this was kind of like I wanted to highlight kind of what he did here with the swing, adjusted his hands a little bit there. And he seems like a guy who, as far as like hitting for average, might take some time there, but he definitely has some pop in his bat.
Yeah, and he swings with full intent every time. There's a little bit of like Riley Green and like Cody Bellinger in his swing. As a left-hander, he just swings so hard, and I've talked about it before. His helmet pops off a lot of times while he's swinging because it's just such a hefty hack. But yeah, the contact and like those guys I just mentioned, Riley Green and Bellinger, it's he goes through streaks, and he doesn't have sort of Riley Green's insane bat to ball skills. So I don't want to make that comparison other than kind of the swing similarities, but even with Riley Green's skills like that, we see he'll go through these stretches where he's mishitting the ball and it's lots of strikeouts, and lots of ground balls. But when he's connecting, the ball goes very far. And Callahan had one of those weeks 2 weeks ago where he was just on fire. I think he had 10 RBIs that week and maybe 3 or 4 home runs. And yeah, I mean, look at that swing. That swing right there was that's the ball that on Statcast or whatever Hawkeye that they have claimed it was 480 feet. I don't think it went that far, but he does hit the ball pretty hard and just launches, right? And the problem is when you swing like that, like it does present a number of holes in your, velocity up, breaking balls or, under your hands, change ups low and away, all that stuff. But yeah, that's, Dayton likes to put funny things between plays. Not funny things necessarily. They'll
like cats and butts.
Yeah, and they'll show a lot of crowd work, but yeah. So just as a hitter, I think we're going to see some ups and downs from Brett Callahan. But when he's on, he's super dangerous. Lots of power, lots of line drives. He's very aggressive, so he's not going to walk a ton, and that's something that they may want him to work on a little bit. But he's also not just an empty bat, right? He's also a pretty good defender. He can handle center field. He plays all 3 corner spots. He's got a really strong arm, and he's an above-average runner. So there's a lot to like with Brett Callahan. It's just, he's going to go as far as his contact and on-base skills will take him.
Yeah, and that's where, again, this is where we talked about this throughout their series of videos we've done on these breakdowns, is where how he adjusts at Double-A. And to me, that's a big thing because you start facing more advanced spin. You face guys who are going to just throw nonstop nasty stuff. And not to say it doesn't happen in High A, but the biggest thing about the Eastern League, going to Double-A, going to the Eastern League, going to Erie rather, is the level of competition increases. It's like by, I'm not going to say a percentage because I'm not really 100% sure what the percentage is, but either way, that's a question. Now, I still think he could play all 3 positions at a higher level. I think he'd be kind of a good utility player if he can continue to adjust as he gets to a next level. Because the other thing that does kind of stop me a little bit too. It does tend to, you were talking about how hard he swings, and I can see that strikeout rate creeping up a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to strike out a lot throughout his minor league career. Maybe it's manageable, mid-20s, upper 20s. It doesn't get into that, danger zone in the 30% range. But I think better left-handed pitching is really going to tie him up. and righties with good changeups, I think, are going to be a problem. But you know, I think we kind of knew that coming into this year, and yeah, unfortunately, there's not a great angle of this outfield assist that he got. But if you do enough damage when you're called upon, right, and if you are a left-handed hitter who has a chance to beat up on right-handed pitching, then that can still be very valuable. I think, in the past I kind of compared him to like he might have a chance to be maybe like a Matt Joyce type, right? Who now I think Joyce walked a lot,
Yeah.
but he also wasn't. I think Joyce was never good enough as a defender to play center. I don't think. So, a left-handed hitting corner outfielder who could fill in at center and give you some power. There's value in that if you can keep doing that up to the highest level, and you don't put it past anybody to continue to get better, right, and to develop, and maybe you can become an everyday player. He's hitting better against lefties so far this year in a limited sample, but yeah, he's one of the more kind of exciting under the radar prospects in the system who got some work to do, but has some decent upside.
Yeah, that's just I want to keep replaying that because it's just such a good throw, especially from center. I mean, you're talking. This is a play where it went underneath. I believe that was John Peck. John Peck's glove, and he just comes up and just whoosh, just boom, and it was spot on.
And we have the one from last year too, somewhere with the outfield assist at home that was where he threw from left field. Just the ball explodes out of his hand, goes off the screen, comes back down. It's a perfect strike at home plate in the air. So yeah, it's just a lot of good tools in Brett Callahan. Like I think I don't know how many steals he has this year. Let me check. Just 2 so far this year. He stole 21 last year. They're not running a lot as a team, other than Seth Stevenson in West Michigan this year. Maybe that's because they have so many big hitters, and they keep putting up these like 3-run homers that maybe they just don't want to run into any outs. But he's a guy who will give you some value on the base pass too.
Yeah, here's the throw I was talking about. Here's what you're talking about, Chris, right here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is okay. He's at the one, like I'm saying.
Yeah, so I mean, it's medium depth. That's pretty far out in left field, and it's just an absolute hose, like strike to home plate in the air, and gets the guy out. So, like you said, this is, even if he doesn't hit a ton, if he's got power and he's got these other secondary skills, that's enough to get you to the big leagues. I think it's just a matter of, does it crumble once he gets to the higher levels? Can he make enough contact to hit for that occasional home run?
Yeah, and that's all. And to me, one of the things that will continue to help his development too is just that he's got fans eternally. I mean, we sent the video to I'm not gonna say who we sent it to, but they're a big fan of his stuff. It was a Tigers person. I'm not gonna say a scout told me. It's one of those things, but they like his upside.
Yeah, and he doesn't turn 24 until November, so I mean, there's a chance he could get up to Double-A later this year if they have room for him. And once you get there, next year start in Double-A, and then who knows? So yeah, just another guy to keep an eye on. We had him ranked, I think, 20th in the system, and I think he'll probably hold steady for now at our next update, somewhere in that range. He may move up just because of people graduating, but definitely, like I said, one of the more interesting players in the minor league system right now.
Yeah, and again, we'll be looking out for him, and I think he'll go along with wherever Max Clark goes. I think he'll go too, because it seems like right now with McGonagall being injured, it just seemed like they've been a pretty good combo in the outfield. So
yeah,
that's good. Hopefully, we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. For you Patreon folks out there, keep sending suggestions. Same thing with anybody on YouTube or Twitter who's watching this right now. We appreciate this. Again, it's just extra bonus content for you Patreon folks. And if you have a request on a certain player, whether it be a pitcher or a prospect, or even for that matter, any ideas in the big league club, let us know. We appreciate that, and we will talk to you again soon. Next week, we'll be doing another 3-pack of players, and possibly there's an idea that Chris and I was just thinking about on the other video if you watched it, and I think that might be coming to fruition. So until then, thank you for watching.